Beardsley, and I am starting a YouTube channel called Oso Haven. That's the name of my house, and I live near the Oso in Corpus Christi, Texas. I was looking for inspiration garden YouTube videos online, and I couldn't find anything in my zone. They were all outside of my zone, so I decided to make this channel for those of you who want to be inspired by gardening in Corpus Christi, which is Zone 9B. And so I'm going to take you for a garden tour of my front yard. I'll have other videos of my backyard, and I have a few other people that I'm going to do garden tours of their houses also. I'm going to give you tours of the inside of my house also, because I love decorating inside the house as well as outside. And so for today's first video, your welcome video, I'm going to show you around my front yard, go over some of the plants that I have, and maybe some of the design choices I made when landscaping. So we're going to start just on the patio with this set of patio furniture. I saw this on Pinterest, of course, and had to have the exact same thing that the lady in the Pinterest had. So this was a set that I bought on Walmart. It's a Better Homes and Garden set, and I added the cute little toss pillows from At Home. I'm not sure if they still have this one, but that's added from there. I have this sweet little desert rose, which usually has blooms on it, but doesn't have any right now. My mother-in-law made this for me, or planted this for me from one of hers. I don't remember if it's from a cutting or from seeds. She put this cute little rock in there. I love it. She made one for her daughter, my sister-in-law also, and so we have matching ones. Over here we have a draconia, I think that's what it's called, and I've had this forever. I was thinking about getting rid of it, but then I decided I do like it up here. And notice the pot, I have these matching pots from Sam's Club, but they were quite a few years ago that I got that. So, over on this side, Gunner, you want to walk around this way? Oh, I forgot to say, Gunner is my cameraman and my son. So I'm going to show you, I have lots of things not perfect about my front yard, and so I'm going to talk to you about those non-perfect things also. And some days I'll get it fixed, but this is not ready yet, and I didn't want to wait to make these videos until everything was perfect. So I have this matching pot to that other one, but right now it's just holding trash and some of my weeds when I pull them. So I'm planning on putting it in there, maybe a ficus tree or something else to lend some height right here, but I haven't found exactly what I want yet. So I haven't done that yet. Over here, I have a little a planter box. And so I'm going to plant these. I forgot the name of these. I'm going to have to find them. Anytime I forget names, I'll put them in description. But I'm going to pot these in there. I already have some plants in here. I think this is called elephant something, but now I can't remember. So I'm going to be planting these in there, maybe moving some of these around. That might be a whole video in itself of me replanting that and making it look nice for inside. Okay, so there may be some pauses and cuts in this video, but that's just because things are happening. Dogs are barking, other things are going on. Okay, so we're gonna walk around here and talk about this section. At the end, he'll zoom out to show you the whole garden. But this little section is between my garage and my front yard and my front door. So what we have here is this is a Tonto Crepe Myrtle, and it's got some bugs on it. You can see the black leaves. Then it's also got some new growth. So I kind of need to work on getting that cleaned up. But Tontos are smaller crepe myrtles, so I think they only get to 8 to 10 feet. So I wanted something smaller here since it's so close to the house and in front of the window. So this is my Tonto. Over here is a Lantana, and it has only bloomed once or twice. I think it might get a little bit too much shade right here, but I'm gonna keep it going because it has grown quite a bit. Okay, and then I have these 3 Aztec grasses. These are variegated plants. We'll talk a little bit more about these, and Gunner will probably pan back over here later on when I talk a little bit about why I chose to put those 3 right here. And then here we have a blue daze, and if you'll walk over here, or pan over here, Gunner, to the other blue daze, is you notice this one's so much bigger than that one. Well, I just planted that one because I decided I wanted one that matched on the other side. So he's gonna take a little while to catch up, but he'll get there. And then I have 3 pentas in here, white pentas. And all the way in the back, I have a Foxtel Fern, and I just now noticed it has a huge anthill in it, so we're gonna have to take care of that anthill also. Okay, and then I wanna note here that I have this big blank spot right in the front, and I wanted to fill that in with some annuals and could never decide, so then I haven't filled it in yet, but eventually I'll get some annuals put in there and see how I like it. I don't know if I'll keep them in there or if I'll decide to put something else in there that's more permanent. Okay, so we had to pause again because my son came home and was gonna walk through the shop. Okay, so let's move on over to this section. Okay, I have another blue daisy, and notice that I have the matching 2 blue daisies to kind of welcome you and have the same thing on either side. I have a couple of little statues that I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep them there or not. I really wanna paint that dog one, but we'll get to that someday. Okay, in the back are Wendy's Wish salvia. They don't look too hot right now because I turned off my sprinkler system thinking it was gonna rain yesterday, and then it didn't rain. So I need to get those watered well, and they'll spruce right back up. And we have a video coming up about planting those Wendy's Wish salvia and a little bit about the design there with those also. Okay, these beauties are Angelonias. Okay, I don't know the exact variety. I'm gonna start, when I get new plants, I'm gonna start making sure that I have the varieties written down for my videos. But when I planted all this, I didn't know I was gonna do a YouTube channel. So just Angelonias, those ones are doing great. And I've had these in the past that don't always do well, but these ones are doing really good. Okay, this is a flax, and a Flax Lily, I think. And its blooms are already going off, but usually it has these little blue flowers in here. So remember when I told you I was going to talk about the Aztec grass that's over there? This is what I did when I designed this. I have a variegated Flax Lily, and I put something that looks very similar to it on the other side with the Aztec grass. So the Aztec grass looks exactly like that, just smaller. So it's, instead of putting the exact same plant, I just put something that looked like it. So that's a good way to design your areas, to take either a color or a type of leaf or a type of, like this is grass, so I did another grass, and they were both variegated. So that brings the repetition over, and that's a good thing to do in design, even inside your home. Okay, this is the one plant I really don't know the name of, and I don't know if I'd ever find out. So Gunnar, if you'll zoom in on that. If anybody knows the name of this plant, if you could please tell me, because I have no idea. It was beautiful when I got it, and it's actually got a whole bunch more growth on it, but it was looking really bad. I was ready to pull it up, but I don't think I will right now because it's got some good leaves coming in. Okay, I'm gonna step into my landscaping, which usually we don't do because it mashes down on the mulch. Okay, this is a pink Tropha tree. So can you get these? It doesn't have hardly any blooms on it right now, but when it does, that's just because it's really hot right now in Corpus. It is the end of summer, which is some of our hottest times, and it's just now cooled off a little bit. So my mother and father-in-law got this for me months before I moved into my new house, and they saved it for me, taking care of it and trimming it up until I could plant it. So this is exactly what I wanted in this spot. So I chose the Tropha. Gunnar, if you'll get right there, I want you to see on my house, I have kind of this blank little niche in here. And so I wanted a small ornamental tree. So Trophas, could get a little bit taller, maybe even up to 8 feet if it survives, if we don't have too cold of winter. And so that's what I want here, something kind of small but tall to fill up this blank space. Okay, coming down here, you will notice that I have not weeded. And I purposefully didn't wait longer to do this video before I weed it. I didn't even get the roots on that one because I didn't want to wait forever. And we'll talk a little bit about weeding in some subsequent videos. But these are Agapanthus. And I have these little stakes in them because when they had their blooms, they're all done for the season, but they were really tall and falling over. So I had these little stakes where I would put it like that to hold the blooms up. So I need to take out these stakes so that we can put them away for the season. And when the Agapanthus bloom next year, I'll just pull back out the stakes. So Agapanthus are also called Lily of the Nile, and they have pretty purple flowers on them. These have actually purple and white flowers on them. Okay, now moving over to the next section. These are my white roses. I do not know what they are called. Like I said, I didn't pay a lot of attention, but they have some crazy limbs coming out on them. So I'm not gonna trim them yet. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer until it gets time to trim the roses. I'm just letting them go wild right now, and hopefully later on I can get them into a better shape. But they have beautiful clusters, just clusters of roses on them. Okay, and then as we go over here, we have another blue daze. So in the decorating world and in landscape world, we want to do repetition. So that blue daze is like the other two by the front door. Okay, I also love blue daze in Corpus because they can handle the heat. In fact, most of the time they have tons of blooms all over them in the heat of the summer. Okay, in the back here, this is a Panama Rose. I have never had a Panama Rose. I have had landscaping gardens for, I don't know, since I was 22. So, you know, 25 years I've had landscape gardens, and I've never had a Panama Rose, so I'm interested to see how that grows up and gets, how it looks later. Okay, this one I did leave my tag on. I probably should have taken that off. Did not notice that. Like I said, I just came out here and decided to do this video. So this is a Natchez Crepe Myrtle, and it doesn't look really great because it's been really hot and I really need to be watering it more. Crepe Myrtles need a lot of water in their first year of life, so I'll probably leave the hose on this once we finish for a little while to get some more leaves in here. But I loved this one because it was multi-trunk, had 3 pretty trunks. We will be trimming this in the spring, and I'll be doing a video on how to trim your crepe myrtles and not do crepe suicide. I forgot what they call it. Crepe murder. That's what they call it. Crepe murder. When the people chop them all down. We don't trim our crepe myrtles like that, but I do trim them up to make them prettier. Okay, on the bottom we have some daylilies. 3 daylilies, and they're different types of daylilies. This one's my favorite. They don't have their flowers out, so when they come out in the summer, we'll do other garden tours when things are blooming. And the last thing on this side is another Foxtel Fern, which I had on that side, and with a weed in there. And so another thing I did a repetition with. So there's 2 of those in my landscaping. Okay, now we're moving to the middle of our yard, and this is, we call these islands when they're just in the middle of the yard and not connected to anything else. So this is my island. It needs to be weeded, it needs to be edged. I'm contemplating whether to put different types of edging in my front yard. Anytime I'm doing any of these projects, I'll be sharing them with you and doing videos on them, doing garden tours maybe once a season. And so that's one of the things that I'm just thinking about right now. So in this bed, we have an iris here. I'm not sure which type I put in there, if it's a bicolor iris or African iris, so now I'm gonna have to wait until it blooms to figure that out. Another blue daze. Notice I have lots of blue daze because they do so well in Corpus. So a good thing to do is, if you want something to be nice and pretty, is use the plants that do well. Okay, this is a Texas redbud. So it was my husband's favorite type of tree, or one of his favorite types of trees. And we had one in our other house. We had an Oklahoma redbud. And so I'm hoping that this one does well. It's Texas redbud. Not looking really great again because of the heat, but it will bounce back. I know it will. My pink flowers here are pentas. And Gunnar, if you zoom in on that very back one, you notice that it has some white in there. So it wasn't like that when I bought it. These were much smaller. They've grown a lot. So just, I guess, a plus that it had white, maybe not a plus. Okay, down here I have a lantana, and I think that's a yellow lantana. I'm not really sure what it was, but that's what's right there. It's taken a little while to shoot off of it. Okay, this grass, I cannot remember the name of it. I might be able to find it, but I'm not completely sure. But I think it's one of the ones that grows with, it has some pink grasses coming out of it in the fall. We'll have to see when it cools down if it gets any pink in it. And then once again, another blue day. Now notice these are really overlapping now. They weren't like that when I first planted them. So I may be moving some things around or trimming things back or up so that to keep them away from each other. So that's pretty much all the plants that are in my front yard. And let's talk a little bit about design now. So when you look at my front yard, you can't see everything blooming, but I do know everything and what their colors are for the most part. So my colors are, I have pink and the Crepe Myrtles, and my Tropha, and right here my Wendy's Wish, and my Angelonia, and then I have blues and my Blue Dave, and my Flax, and my Agapanthus are blue, purple, and then I have white with my roses and my Crepe Myrtle, and the pentas over there have whites in them. So my color palette is pink, white, blue, and a little bit of yellow. Okay, so I don't like reds and oranges in my yard. I love them in other people's yards, but those aren't really my colors, so I don't put them in my yard. So when you're doing your landscaping, think about the colors you like, and try to stick to a few. Unless you're just doing wild all over garden, you could have all the colors in the rainbow, and that's great too. But when you're planting and you want to get something really beautiful out there and not just have a hodgepodge of stuff, then think about where you're placing things and where the color is coming through. So make sure that if you have different colors, you don't have like all the pinks on one side and all the blues on the other side. Disperse them throughout and make sure that you have some high and some low, and so that the colors go all the way out. Another thing, since we're talking about the front yard, is look at the grass here. It's got some great spots where it's really pretty and green, and then it has other ones where it's brown. Again, some heat of the summer part, and it's almost time for fertilization for the fall. So that will be coming up pretty soon. And my other son, not my cameraman son, my oldest son, has talked about maybe doing some videos on the grass. He cuts grass a lot of the time, and so he's the one who mows our grass, and we may do a video about that. Okay, one other thing I want to talk to you about is mulch. So if you notice on here, I have some brown mulch down. I think this one came from Home Depot. I really like the ones from Lowe's, but it was more expensive, and this was on sale, so that's what I did. I have a pretty thick bed of mulch. You see, I'm digging my hand in there, and I haven't even hit the bottom. So that's to cut down on weeds. Of course, you've seen I still have weeds in my garden. You're not going to get rid of your weeds. I do not like weed fabric. It makes it really hard to plant more plants, and I like to plant more plants in there. And weeds still get on top of weed fabrics because weeds come from bird droppings, their seeds onto the ground. So you're going to get weeds in your garden even with weed fabric. So I just rather not do weed fabric. And while we're here, let's talk about the trees being staked. So notice that the red bud has a stake in it, a very heavy duty stake. This thing is not moving. We get hurricanes in Corpus Christi, right? So we need to make sure that these are staked for at least a year until these put down really good roots. And look at my Crepe Myrtle. It has 3 stakes on it. And each one of those trunks is staked just to give extra support to it. And if you look at these stakes and the way that we did it, in fact, my father-in-law did this with my sons. You'll hear a lot about my mother-in-law and father-in-law because they have gorgeous landscaping, and they always help us out. What we did is use an old water hose so that it won't mess up the trunk of the tree. See, and so that goes on there, and then we have some wire supports here. So that's the way you properly stake a tree, is making sure that you don't just put a piece of wire or rope around it. It will scar the tree and it will go into the tree. And we don't want that to happen. We want to take these off in a year and nothing be wrong with bark. If you look over here, Gunnar, really quick, this section of my yard that's just a rectangle, I really want to cut out a circle here and put in an ornamental tree. But the tree I want, I'm not even going to say what it is, because they don't have them in Corpus. but I have seen one growing in Corpus. So maybe someday I'll get one and I'll tell y'all all about it. But for now, this is gonna remain just grass until I get the perfect tree that I wanna put in here. So I'm not gonna put something I don't want, I'm just gonna leave it blank for a little while. Okay, so that's it for my Oso Haven, and I hope that you'll come back to watch other videos in our YouTube series.